Hi everybody, my name is Carrie and welcome back to another video. If you guys don't know me, my name is Carrie. I run Traveling Pony Studios, which is a small crochet business that I made, well, in 2023 to help pay for my horse's medical expenses. I do everything from like markets to stores, and hopefully I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that I actually get into a convention this year. It would be cool. I mean, I only played one, but at the same time I'm like, you know, I'm not keeping my hopes up. A girl's got to be a little bit realistic, but I did apply for one, so I at least tried to get in. There's just like zero promises about get in. If you guys don't know, like I said earlier, I do stores. In 2024, I had 4 stores that I was signed onto, and now going into 2025, by the time we get through the month of February, I will only be in 1 store. I have had a few other videos talking about stores, and recently I posted a video maybe just like a week ago regarding some things with stores, some of my tips, all those things. If you guys want to check that video out, if I can figure out how to link it, I'll link it at least in the video. If I can't figure out how to do that, then I will add it to the pinned comment or whatever if you guys want to check it out. That is definitely very fleshed out in terms of some of the tips, some of the things you should think about. I'm glad that people seem to enjoy that video and find information from it, because there was a lot of things that I personally didn't know nor think about when I decided to apply to stores and ultimately have my items in stores, and ultimately take out most of my items from stores, just because there are so many factors. I'm not gonna get into it necessarily because I feel like what else is there to say? One of the questions I received on that video is, I'll put who asked this question on the screen so you guys can see, but they had a really good question that I think is a good question to ask, but also a hard question to answer, because it's like anything, like I always see with markets, I feel like every single market I go to, what people are looking for changes drastically. I have honestly stopped trying to make items for like trends or things that I think are gonna happen for that year, because I feel like it never ends up working out very well. I always think about price points. That's a huge factor with markets, of course, trying to have affordable price points, and then also making things that I enjoy to make, because ultimately if I'm spending all this time making a product, if I don't really maybe like the animal, like the style, whatever, then the product that I make is probably not going to be of very good quality, which is a poor reflection, of course, on my brand. Let me find this comment, and while we're at it, I'm going to show you guys this adorable pattern that I had the opportunity to test. I was super fortunate to have the opportunity to test this pattern by Pebbles Crochet. I will have the pattern linked if by the time this video comes out it is released. If not, I'll put her Etsy shop in the description below. I was super fortunate to have the opportunity to test. You guys know I don't test very often, and for 2025 I've kind of decided that this year I really want to put myself out there. I want to try and test more patterns. Last year I definitely made an effort, but not like a very good effort, and ultimately I think I was maybe chosen to test 1 pattern last year, probably out of like 20 or 30 that I applied to. This year I've applied to probably already 20, and Pebbles gave me the opportunity to test her pattern. She's been the only one who has allowed me the opportunity, and I'm so thankful because I also absolutely love her patterns. I mentioned this before, but that Vaporeon you see in the back right there, and that has been on some of my thumbnails for the videos, is one of her patterns. She's, I believe, currently doing all of the Eevee evolutions, which is adorable. I mean, Eevee was my favorite Pokemon, or one of them. Umbreon is definitely my favorite Eevee evolution, alongside Vaporeon and this one that's coming out soon. She also has the normal Eevee that's available on her shop right now, and I believe Umbreon. I think those 3 and then this one are the ones that are out currently, but they are absolutely adorable. They are snuggler version, which I don't do many snugglers, but I'm hoping somebody will love them, and if not, then they can live with me, because honestly I love them. I feel like every time I do one of her patterns I look at it and I'm like, I'm so proud of how it looks. Like, it's just a really good quality pattern and make. I feel like everybody that I've seen make these patterns also has such adorable, cute plushies. Like, it's a solid, legit pattern. So even if this Pokemon, the Sylveon, I think is how you say it, don't quote me on this, y'all know I'm Southern, I got some speech problems, words come out a little weird, but even if you don't make this one in particular, I definitely would recommend checking out the Eevee Evolutions. They are adorable, and as well as her other patterns, they're so stinking cute. So this is the one that I had the opportunity to test. I think it is the cutest thing ever. I also painted these eyes, and this was my first time using a white pupiled eye. I've never done the white pupil before. I've always been like, oh, is it gonna look weird? But I think it honestly looks so cute with this one, and it ties into the Pokemon as well because they also have a white pupil. So super cute. We got the ribbon and everything. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I love the Vaporeon one as well. So when I saw that she was having a tester call, I was like, please let me. And now I'm probably gonna go out and purchase the Umbreon pattern at least, and the Eevee one, so I can do those because I think it would be so cool to have all of the Eevee evolutions and her pattern style at the end. Like, don't tell me that wouldn't be awesome. And of course, like I said, y'all can see the Umbreon back there, and that one is from Red Mills Crochet. So I have this adorable Sylveon, and again, I'm so thankful to be able to test this pattern, to have the opportunity to try it out. And if you guys have not already, make sure to check out her Etsy shop to get her patterns. So the question that I was asked, this was from Sweet Fox Pepperoni. I don't know how to say that word, but it's Sweet Fox, and then the word after that is Paperie. They asked me a little bit about stores, and they are also in a store as well. Congrats. And they asked me what patterns were my best sellers, and I'm more than happy to disclose that information. Now, granted, like I said, this is gonna vary so much. Same thing with markets, like, girl, I can't ever figure out what anyone wants. But I will say there are some common themes and trends between stores and markets. Like, I know what the best sellers are. Now, there could be a few reasons for that. There could be pricing, there could just be general, they're common animals that people seem to love. I feel like I move a lot of $12, $15, and $18 items at stores, which of course I can't remember what the translation is for me with the commission added, but remember from my last video, like 12 was gonna end up being 17. So that's a factor to always think about. I feel like once I hit the 20 mark, there are certain items in particular, mainly being the turtles, that sell the best at that price range. Even at stores, I do tend to move them, but once it gets any higher, or some of the other $20 range items that I would sell, they don't move as well. So there's definitely that factor that I always consider when looking at my notes, because most of these items that sell the best are small items. Before I tell you guys what the best selling items are, because there aren't a ton, honestly. You would think there would be more, but it's so weird because, say, possums at my normal markets, generally I move a lot of possums. Like, I'll bring 15 possums, and at a market I can sell anywhere from 6 to 10, 12 possums. I've even sold out of the possums before. So for me at a market, I would say that is a really good seller and a pattern that I always go back to, because there's definitely a lot of possum fanatics out there. But then I would also take that same item, look at it from a store perspective, and even though I'm not selling the same quantity from the store side, I might sell, let's say I have in stock, I believe 3 to 4 possums at a store. I'll probably restock the possums once during that month, and I like to restock them before they sell out. So usually there's 1 or 2 left, so I might sell 4, 5. I think the most possums I've sold at a store for the month was about 5 or 6. So that's always the difference too. I feel like markets, I tend to move a lot more quantity than I do stores, just because of course when people are going out to markets, generally they're probably going to look at things, especially if it's like an art craft market. You know, they're going out, they're looking at things to potentially buy. They're coming into it with kind of that mindset, versus sometimes the stores, I feel like it can be a little bit more browsing. But definitely, since you only have one day of a market, typically, at least from, you know, generally what I do, and even then I feel like with craft markets and stuff, it's not the same as for, say, like an anime convention or convention where you have all these like 4-day cons and people will go to each con. Most of the time I feel like when people go to markets, they're gonna buy something that day if they are interested, because I don't think they typically would come back the next day. I don't really think that's the norm for markets. Versus stores, I feel like people maybe go and they look and then they'll go to the next store, or it's something where they can revisit it again if they're in the area. So I don't know if the initiative to necessarily buy that day is the same as a market. These are some of the patterns that I do have in my stores currently. Like I said, you'll see there's a large focus on $12, $15, $18 items. For two of my stores, those items are really set. Like, it's a computer system. I bring those set items, I bring the set amount of quantity. That's super set. The two other stores were a little bit more fluctuating. One of them fluctuated in larger items because the commission was less. So I was able to bring some $35 items like my mini cows, the unicorns. Granted, they hardly ever sold, but I was able to bring some of them, so I'm not gonna factor that in. And then the other store, I do bring a lot of the same items, but sometimes it's also, if I have extra things around, I'll just give it to them because they don't input things in their system the same as some of the other ones. Like, it's not tagged by item. We price it out by size because it's easier for them. So I have possums, stingrays, whales, all that's just extra small crochet animal. So because of that, sometimes I'll just bring whatever I have extra of in that $12 range. So I'm also not gonna factor that or those special extra items I bring because they're not the consistent base items that I typically would have in a store. So what I have in stores is I have from the Haru Crochet pattern bundle, and I'm pretty certain all of these patterns you guys can find in the Google Doc in my description box. I tried my best recently to re-update it, but as you guys know, I'm always adding new patterns to my whole setup. And then of course, some patterns aren't on there, not because I don't have the listing link, but because they're Patreon exclusive, so I can't link anything because they're only on Patreon. But from the Haru Crochet bundle, which is just that big bundle that she has with like, I think it's like 12 or something animals, I have the mini elephants that I bring in stores, mini pandas, and mini tigers. I'm lucky to sell one or two of those per month. They're not super big sellers. I have the turtle pattern that I use for stores. I bring the green variation, the blue variation, and the pink variation. The only color variation of the turtles that I do not bring to stores is the purple variation, mainly because the purple variation, I would say, is my least selling color variation of the turtles. I say that, and sometimes I've sold so many purple ones, but I would definitely venture to say that the purple ones are my worst selling ones. So I don't bring those to stores, especially since some of the stores only allow 3 color variations for the computer system. So you'll see that a lot of these guys are only 3 colors. After that, I have the little $12 pop-up mushrooms. Same thing. I bring manatees to stores. I bring the shark that I typically would sell for $20, so not the really big shark, but like kind of those, I would say medium-ish size if I had to venture. I bring whales to the stores, and those colors I chose the royal blue, I think it's like Bluebird and Sweet Snuggles Light. I bring the pink ones, and then I bring the light blue ones. Typically at a market, I have 4 color variations of this particular item, being pink, purple, light blue, and then the royal blue. And purple is my least best selling color variation, so I don't bring those to stores. I bring the other ones. But if I'm gonna be 100% honest, the whales are not good sellers at stores. If I sell any whales, I'm honestly like shocked. Like, I feel like some of those whales have been there for over 6 months because they just don't move really well. And then I of course have the mallards, roosters, and chickens. These are the same ones that I would bring to the market, consistently pretty good. I bring the little baby aliens to stores as well. I bring the sloths, just another $12 item, I believe, or it could be 15. I'm blanking, y'all. I feel like I got so many items in my head that sometimes it's hard for me to remember all the prices. And then possums, of course. I also bring the squids to stores, and same thing. Color variations on this one is actually really funny. It's light blue, royal blue, and purple, which you would kind of think, given the fact that like most of the color variations I don't bring to stores are purple, you'd be like, oh, she's not bringing purple. Nope, I bring purple squids. The color variation that I leave at home that I bring to markets is the ice green one from Sweet Snuggles Light. I also bring the baby flamingos to pretty much, I think, most of the stores. They are a higher priced item for me because I would typically sell them for like $25. So I think somewhere for stores, that would translate somewhere in that $30 range. Same thing for 2 of the stores. I bring my mini cow with the flower crown, that is $35, but at stores I know for certain with the commissions and everything added, they sell for $50. And I've actually been surprised. I've sold more than I thought when I brought them there. Like, I honestly didn't think I would sell any, but I have sold some of them, which definitely surprised me because I was like, $50? Like, thank you, but I'm just surprised because sometimes I can't even sell for 35. And then I have the giraffe, and I only have this in 2 stores. I think I've sold 1 in the whole time, so I'm not a super good seller. I have the mini cat, and I'm trying to remember who exactly did this pattern. I think it could be Crochet with a Bay. It was some pattern that I did not buy off Etsy. I remember I bought it off somebody's website, and of course my computer died, and I had to get a completely new computer because it just like literally tanked on me and didn't even give me the option to back up. So I'm gonna have to rebuy that pattern if I decide to make any more of those little mini cats. But I have talked about this before. I am veering away from loaf cat style because there are just way too many loaf cats out there and too many cats in that style. And trust me, when you go to markets like I go to, and if 5 other crochet vendors all have those like loaf cats, I just decided I want nothing to do with it anymore. And then I also bring the little triceratops. I totally forgot this is also from Haru Crochet. And then the last kind of small one I have is I also bring the stingrays. So out of all of those patterns, those are pretty much like my base staple ones that I try and supply to the stores. But out of all of those patterns, I only have about 6 that I would say are better sellers. And like I said, this is totally different from a market. I don't move the same quantity as I would at a market, so just keep that in mind. They might be best sellers, but they aren't the exact same bestsellers, but I will say they sell good between markets and stores. So the first one I have to start off with is of course the mallards, chicks, and roosters, and I believe my selling order is in that. Mallards is definitely the one that sells the best out of the 3. Chicks and roosters I feel like could be kind of flip-flopped, but it just depends on who sees them that particular day. I've had some markets where I sell tons of chicks, like tons of chicks, and then I'll move none. And then roosters I feel like I consistently sell throughout the markets. There's never a market where I sell like this extraordinary number of them, but I definitely sell at least some every market. I feel like in stores in particular, I feel like the roosters have been lower than the chicks, and of course I feel like between markets and stores, the little mallards definitely are the big thing. Now I will say I live in the South. Of course, in Georgia, hunting is really big down here, and duck hunting is as well. I have had a lot of people who hunt and have like little boys buy the mallards, so I think that's also a factor to keep in. Maybe if you don't have a lot of like duck hunters, mallards might not be as popular, but for me, living in this area, they are. The second one, now this one is really funny to me. The best selling one at the store is the purple squid. Now, I'm not gonna say that I don't move the light blue and then the royal blue ones. I definitely do, but by far, purple squid reigns supreme. I don't know what it is about the purple squid because all my other purple items don't do well, and when I'm at markets, I don't really sell the purple squids. I mean, I'll sell one, but I feel like most people gravitate towards the blues. At stores, purple squids just are killing it. I mean, I have to restock them like 2 or 3 times. Like, I just make purple squids, I feel like, for stores mainly because that's like the color variation everyone goes for, which, like I said, totally surprised me because I would have never counted that, nor would I count the fact that squids move really well at stores. Sometimes at markets they'll be hit or miss, but at stores the squids consistently sell out. I feel like every single time I do restocks, I'm restocking squids. Continuing on with the ocean theme, the turtles are also another really good seller for me, and this I think is just because it's turtles. I mean, I feel like turtles are universally loved. Boy, girl, kid, people love them as well, adults, so turtles sell always consistently well for me. The color variations sell in the order of green being the first one, blue being the second, and then pink being the third, which I would say that kind of lines up the same with markets. Green and blue, but primarily green, I feel like sells the best, and then pink sells third. Granted, I have had some markets where pink turtles are just it, but then purple generally tends to be the one that sells worse, and I do not bring purple to stores because of the fact that I only get 3 color variations with some of them. After that, the one that also sells really well is the little baby aliens. Now I feel like this could just be because of course people know the character. I don't do a super good job necessarily always keeping them in stock because I always forget about them when I do have them in stock, and I generally would say I bring about 3 to each store. They do consistently sell super well. People are really drawn to them. I feel like they are a gift that's universally pretty good because I've had people who will buy the little aliens and everything for even their dad. The little baby aliens definitely sell pretty well for me between markets and stores, and when I sell them at markets, I sell them at 15, of course. Continuing on with, I feel like this should not be a shocker to literally anybody. The little possums also sell pretty well, but like I said earlier, the quantity is not the same as the market, but I will say that I feel like pretty much every time I have to restock items between all of the stores, possums are definitely one of those items that I have to restock. I remember I had brought like 4 possums to some of the stores before Christmas. They all sold out. So possums are definitely very big, which I'm so surprised by that. I feel like it's such a niche thing, and the people who love possums. Like, you don't ever have to question that aspect. So possums, I would probably say, are up there with like the purple squids with stores. Like every single time I restock, I'm gonna have to restock some possums, it seems. The last one I wanted to include is the baby flamingo that I've done. I'm gonna consider it for the fact that it is a more expensive item for me, but it does still sell well. Even though it is expensive, like that's always surprised me, but it does still sell well. I can't remember what it's priced at because it is a $25 item, so it would be in the $30 range. I actually know it sells well because I have 2 stores that need them and I haven't made them yet. They do sell. It's just, can I restock them fast enough? Because they do take a little bit more time than, of course, the cheaper items. But those are the patterns that I have that sell pretty well between stores and markets in my experience. Now granted, everyone's experience is going to be different. Like I said, a lot of factors like location can add into this. There's a lot of things to think about, but this has been my experience. I will say that I feel like when it comes to market and stores, the items that consistently move well between both of them are the cheaper items, and of course your more expensive ones. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, let me know if you guys have any more comments or questions. I would love to answer them, or if you guys have anything else you would like to see in the videos. I'm always down to try something new. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!